the ocean has always looked peaceful from the surface. Calm waves, soft reflections of sunlight, and endless blue stretching toward the horizon. To most people, it feels relaxing, almost comforting. But the truth is, the ocean is one of the most terrifying places on Earth. Not because of storms. Not because of sharks. Not even because of drowning. The real fear comes from something much deeper, something far darker. It comes from the fact that we do not truly know what lives beneath us. Scientists estimate that more than 80% of the ocean remains unexplored. Entire regions of the seafloor have never been seen by human eyes. There are trenches so deep, pressures so intense, and darkness so absolute that even modern machines struggle to survive there. Yet life still exists in those depths. Creatures have adapted to survive where sunlight never reaches, where temperatures freeze, and where the weight of the water above could crush metal like paper. Tonight, we are going to descend into that world, layer by layer, depth by depth, from the shallow waters where humans swim to the deepest trenches where almost nothing should survive. And as we go deeper, the creatures we encounter will become stranger, more disturbing, more alien. Because the deeper you travel into the ocean, the less life resembles anything familiar. And eventually, it begins to look like something from nightmares. But before we reach the darkness, we must begin where all journeys start, at the surface. The first layer of the ocean is known as the sunlight zone. This region stretches from the surface down to roughly 200 meters. It is the only part of the ocean where sunlight can fully penetrate, allowing plants and algae to grow. Because of this, it contains the majority of marine life that humans are familiar with. Colorful fish swim through coral reefs. Sea turtles glide gracefully through warm water. Schools of small fish move together like living clouds. To most people, this is what the ocean looks like, bright, beautiful, alive. But even here, danger hides. Not in obvious forms. Not in creatures that chase or roar. But in creatures that wait, completely still, perfectly hidden. One of the most dangerous hunters in this zone is not fast, not loud, and not aggressive. Instead, it is patient, silent, invisible. It is known as the stonefish. At first glance, the stonefish does not look like an animal at all. Its body resembles a rough piece of coral or a jagged rock. Its colors blend perfectly with the sandy seabed, making it almost impossible to notice. And that is exactly how it survives. Instead of chasing prey, the stonefish buries itself into the sand, leaving only the top of its body exposed. It remains motionless, sometimes for hours, waiting for something to come close. Small fish pass overhead, unaware of the danger beneath them. Crabs wander across the seabed. Even humans walking through shallow water may step directly onto it without realizing. And that is when the trap is triggered. Along the stonefish's back are sharp spines connected to venom glands. When pressure is applied, such as a foot stepping on its body, the spines push upward, piercing whatever touches them. The venom is released instantly. Victims often describe the pain as one of the most intense sensations known in nature. Burning spreads rapidly through the affected area, followed by swelling, muscle spasms, and severe discomfort. In rare cases, the venom can become life-threatening if not treated quickly. And the most terrifying part is this. The stonefish does not attack. It does not chase. It simply waits, hidden in plain sight. Proof that even in the brightest parts of the ocean, danger can exist where you least expect it. But the sunlight zone is only the beginning. And as we descend deeper, the world begins to change. Light fades. Colors disappear. And the creatures that live there become far more unsettling. At 200 meters below the surface, sunlight begins to weaken. Colors fade into shades of blue and gray. Shapes become harder to see. This region is known as the twilight zone, a place where light exists, but only barely. Plants can no longer grow here. Without sunlight strong enough for photosynthesis, the food chain changes completely. Life must survive using whatever drifts down from above. Tiny particles fall from the upper layers of the ocean, fragments of dead organisms, microscopic debris, remnants of life. This slow snowfall of organic material is known as marine snow. It may sound harmless, but for many creatures in this zone, it is the primary source of food, a constant rain of leftovers from the world above. And here, strange shapes begin to appear. Soft-bodied organisms drift silently through the water, glowing faintly in the darkness. Some of them produce light through a process called bioluminescence, a chemical reaction that allows living creatures to glow. But the glow is not decorative, it is survival. Some use it to attract prey. Others use it to confuse predators. And some use it simply to communicate. One of the most fascinating creatures in this zone is something that does not behave like a single animal at all. Instead, it behaves like many animals combined into one. This creature is known as a siphonophore. At first glance, it looks like a long, delicate string drifting through the water. Soft lights pulse along its length, glowing gently in the darkness. But what makes the siphonophore truly strange is its structure. It is not one organism, it is a colony. Hundreds, sometimes thousands, of individual units called zooids join together, functioning as one body. Each unit performs a specific role. Some handle movement. Some capture prey. Some digest food. Others reproduce. Individually, they could not survive. Together, they become something entirely new, a living chain of cooperation. Some siphonophores grow to astonishing lengths, stretching dozens of meters through the water, longer than many whales, floating silently, invisible to unsuspecting prey. And when prey touches the drifting tentacles, it is captured instantly, paralyzed by venom, consumed by the colony, not by one mouth, but by many working as one. And as disturbing as that sounds, things are only getting stranger. Because deeper still, sunlight disappears entirely. And what waits there does not rely on light at all. At around 1,000 meters below the surface, the last traces of sunlight vanish. Not dim, not faded, gone. From this point onward, the ocean becomes a world of complete darkness. No sunrise, no sunset, no shadows, only blackness. This region is known as the Midnight Zone, and it stretches from 1,000 meters down to nearly 4,000 meters deep. Here, the pressure is enormous. Temperatures are near freezing. Food is scarce, and survival becomes a constant struggle. And in this darkness, evolution takes strange turns. Creatures living here cannot rely on sight alone. Instead, they develop tools that seem almost unnatural. Some grow enormous mouths. Others develop glowing bodies. Many evolve teeth so long they cannot fully close their jaws. Because in this world, missing a meal can mean death. One of the most recognizable predators of the Midnight Zone is the anglerfish. You may have seen pictures of it before, a round body, enormous mouth, and rows of sharp teeth that curve inward like hooks. But its most disturbing feature is the glowing lure that hangs from its head. At the tip of this lure lives special bacteria capable of producing light. In total darkness, the faint glow looks like a tiny floating creature. Small fish see the light and approach, curious and unaware. They drift closer, closer still. And in a fraction of a second, the anglerfish opens its massive mouth, swallowing the prey whole before it has time to react. It is a simple trap, elegant, deadly. But the strangest part of the anglerfish's life is not how it hunts. It is how it reproduces. In the deep ocean, finding a mate is extremely difficult. Individuals may live their entire lives without ever encountering another of their kind. So nature found a brutal solution. Male anglerfish are much smaller than females. Their only purpose is to find one female during their lifetime. When a male locates a female, he bites onto her body and never lets go. Over time, his body begins to fuse with hers. Their circulatory systems connect, and eventually, the male loses his independence entirely. He becomes permanently attached, surviving only as a small extension of the female's body, forever connected, forever dependent. It is one of the strangest reproductive systems known in nature. And it exists in a place where survival demands extreme solutions. But the anglerfish is not alone here, far from it. Another creature drifting through these depths is known as the dragonfish. Despite its relatively small size, this predator is built like a living weapon. Its body is long and thin, with jaws that stretch wide enough to swallow prey larger than itself. Needle-like teeth extend outward, creating a trap that prey cannot escape once caught. But what makes the dragonfish truly terrifying is its invisibility. Unlike most glowing creatures, the dragonfish produces a rare type of red bioluminescence. Most deep-sea animals cannot see red light. To them, it is invisible. This gives the dragonfish a powerful advantage. It can illuminate its surroundings without revealing its presence. Imagine walking through a dark forest while holding a flashlight that only you can see. That is how the dragonfish hunts: silent, invisible, efficient. And as unsettling as these creatures are, they are still only part of the story. Because deeper still lies a world that feels less like Earth, and more like another planet. Beyond 4,000 meters, the ocean enters one of its most mysterious regions, the abyss. This zone stretches down to approximately 6,000 meters. At these depths, the ocean floor begins to appear more frequently. Mountains rise from the seabed. Deep valleys carve through the darkness. And the environment becomes even more hostile. Pressure here is crushing, hundreds of times greater than at the surface. Temperatures remain near freezing, and food is incredibly rare. Yet life continues, slow, patient, strange. One of the most unsettling creatures found in this region is the giant sea spider. Despite the name, it is not exactly the same as spiders found on land, but its appearance is enough to trigger fear in almost anyone who sees it. Long, thin legs stretch outward in all directions, giving the creature a fragile yet unsettling look. Some species are small, barely visible to the human eye. Others grow large enough to resemble animals the size of household pets. Instead of using jaws to bite prey, the sea spider uses tube-like structures to pierce soft-bodied organisms. It extracts nutrients slowly, feeding in silence. Sometimes the prey survives. Sometimes it does not. Movement in the abyss is slow, deliberate, and careful. Every motion requires energy, and energy is precious. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is rushed. And then there are creatures that look less like animals and more like shadows. One of the rarest sightings ever recorded in deep-sea exploration involves a creature known as the bigfin squid. Few humans have ever seen one alive. Most footage of this mysterious animal comes from remote cameras exploring the ocean floor. Its body is small, but its arms extend downward like thin strands of thread. These limbs can grow to incredible lengths, trailing beneath the squid like ghostly wires. When it moves, it drifts slowly through the water, barely disturbing the darkness around it. Scientists still do not fully understand how the bigfin squid hunts, feeds, or survives. Too few encounters exist. Too little time has been spent observing it. And that lack of knowledge makes it even more unsettling. Because the unknown is always more frightening than the known. And the abyss is filled with unknowns. But even this region is not the deepest. Far below lies a place so extreme that, for decades, scientists believed life there was impossible. They were wrong. Descending toward the deepest trenches, below 6,000 meters, the ocean enters its final and most extreme region, a place known as the Hadal Zone. Named after the ancient word for the underworld. It is found within deep ocean trenches, long, narrow valleys that plunge into the Earth's crust. Some trenches stretch deeper than Mount Everest is tall. The deepest known location on Earth lies here, more than 11,000 meters beneath the surface. At these depths, the pressure is overwhelming. Temperatures hover near freezing, and sunlight has never reached this world. For years, scientists believed that no complex life could survive here. But when technology finally allowed humans to explore these depths, they discovered something astonishing. Life was not only present, it was thriving. Strange fish drifted through the trenches, their bodies soft and flexible. Instead of rigid bones, many possessed gelatinous structures capable of withstanding intense pressure. One such creature is known as the snailfish. At first glance, it appears delicate, almost fragile. Its body is translucent, with soft tissue replacing the hard structures seen in most fish. But this softness is exactly what allows it to survive. Rigid bones would shatter under such pressure. Flexible bodies endure. The snailfish glides slowly across the ocean floor, feeding on small crustaceans and tiny organisms buried in the sediment, silent. Creatures that live for centuries. As we continue deeper into the ocean, time itself begins to behave differently. Not because clocks stop working, but because life slows down. In the deep sea, movement is slow, growth is slow, and aging itself appears to stretch across decades, sometimes centuries. Food is rare in these depths. Energy must be conserved at all costs. Every movement matters, and every meal is valuable. Because of this, many deep-sea creatures live far longer than animals closer to the surface. One of the most mysterious examples is the Greenland shark. Unlike fast-moving predators in shallow waters, the Greenland shark moves slowly, almost lazily, through the freezing darkness of deep northern oceans. At first glance, it does not appear impressive. Its body is large but not sleek. Its movement is steady but unhurried. Yet what makes this shark extraordinary is not how fast it swims, but how long it lives. Scientists estimate that Greenland sharks can live for hundreds of years. Not decades, centuries. Some studies suggest that certain individuals may reach ages of over 400 years. That means a single shark swimming today may have been alive before many modern countries even existed. Imagine a creature drifting silently through the ocean while generations of humans are born, grow old, and disappear, while wars are fought, while cities rise and fall, all while it continues swimming in the same cold darkness. And even more unsettling is how little we truly understand about them. Greenland sharks move slowly because food is scarce. Instead of chasing prey, they rely on patience. They wait. They drift. They conserve energy. And when an opportunity appears, they strike without warning. In deep waters, speed is not always survival. Patience is. The giants of the deep, as scientists explored deeper waters, they noticed something strange. Many creatures living in the deep sea were much larger than their shallow water relatives. Shrimp became enormous. Crabs grew larger than expected. Squid developed massive bodies and impossibly long limbs. This strange pattern became known as deep-sea gigantism. The deeper the environment, the larger some creatures became. At first, this seemed illogical. With limited food and extreme conditions, you might expect animals to shrink, not grow. But the deep sea follows its own rules. Cold temperatures slow metabolism. Slow movement conserves energy. And large body sizes help creatures survive longer periods without food. Among the most famous giants of the deep is the giant squid. For centuries, sailors spoke of enormous tentacled monsters rising from the depths to attack ships. Many dismissed these stories as myths or exaggerations, until evidence began to surface. Bodies of enormous squid washed ashore. Long arms, lined with powerful suction cups, stretched across beaches. Later, deep-sea cameras captured rare footage of these creatures alive in their natural environment. Their eyes were enormous, some of the largest eyes in the animal kingdom, designed to detect faint movement in the darkness. Their tentacles extended outward like living ropes, capable of grabbing prey from surprising distances. And while attacks on ships remain mostly legend, the giant squid is very real, a silent predator drifting through waters too deep for most animals to survive. And it is not alone. Another massive hunter lurks in the darkness, the colossal squid. Even larger than the giant squid, this creature possesses powerful hooks on its tentacles, allowing it to grip prey with terrifying strength. Few humans have ever seen one alive. Most knowledge comes from remains found in the stomachs of whales, proof that even giants have enemies. Because in the deep ocean, there is always something bigger, always something stronger, always something waiting. The hunters that glow. In the absence of sunlight, many deep-sea creatures have developed the ability to create their own light. This phenomenon is known as bioluminescence. It is one of the most fascinating and unsettling features of life in the deep ocean. Creatures glow in shades of blue, green, and sometimes red. Some produce flashes of light to confuse predators. Others use glowing patterns to communicate. And many use light to hunt. Imagine floating in complete darkness. Nothing visible. No sound. Then suddenly, a faint glow appears in the distance, small, soft, almost beautiful. Curiosity pulls you closer. You move toward the light, unaware of the danger waiting beyond it. Then suddenly, movement. A mouth opens. Teeth snap shut. And the light disappears. This strategy is used by many predators in the deep sea. But perhaps none are more effective than the viperfish. With a long, thin body and enormous jaws, the viperfish looks like something from a nightmare. Its teeth are so large that they cannot fit entirely inside its mouth. Instead, they curve outward, remaining exposed even when the mouth closes. A glowing organ hangs near its body, used to attract prey in the darkness. When prey approaches, the viperfish lunges forward with surprising speed, trapping its victim in a cage of needle-like teeth. There is no escape. No warning. Only sudden silence. Creatures that defy expectation. One of the strangest truths about the deep ocean is how unfamiliar life becomes. Creatures lose their color. Some lose their eyes entirely. Others become transparent, their internal organs visible through their skin. In darkness, appearance becomes less important than survival. One fascinating example is the barrel-eye fish. At first glance, its body looks ordinary. But its head is almost completely transparent. Inside that clear dome sit its eyes, large, bright, and capable of rotating to look upward through the top of its skull. This unusual adaptation allows the barrel-eye fish to spot prey silhouetted against faint light filtering from above. It is like having built-in binoculars pointing toward the surface, a silent observer watching from below, always searching, always waiting. And still, even after decades of research, scientists continue discovering new species with features that seem impossible. Creatures with glowing organs in unexpected places. Creatures with limbs shaped like tools. Creatures that appear fragile, yet survive under crushing pressure. Each discovery adds another piece to the puzzle, another reminder that the ocean remains one of the last true frontiers on Earth. The final descent begins. At this point in our journey, we have passed through regions filled with hunters, giants, and glowing predators. But the deepest trenches remain ahead. Places where pressure exceeds imagination, where darkness becomes permanent, and where life survives against overwhelming odds. The closer we move toward the ocean's deepest points, the more alien the environment becomes. Mountains of rock rise from the seafloor. Massive trenches stretch into darkness beyond what cameras can capture. And here, scientists believe the strangest creatures may still remain undiscovered, hidden, waiting, untouched by human eyes. Because even with advanced technology, exploration of these depths remains difficult. Robotic vehicles struggle under pressure. Communication signals weaken. Visibility disappears. And yet, expedition after expedition continues pushing deeper, searching, recording, discovering. Because every descent reveals something new, something unexpected, something that changes our understanding of life itself. The world where pressure crushes everything, as we descend past 6,000 meters, the ocean becomes something entirely different. This is no longer just deep water. This is the edge of survival itself. Welcome to the Hadal Zone, the deepest part of the ocean on Earth. Here, pressure becomes almost unimaginable. For every 10 meters you descend, pressure increases slightly. But at these depths, thousands of meters below the surface, the pressure becomes crushing, literally crushing. At the deepest trenches, pressure can reach more than 1,000 times what we experience at sea level. Metal structures bend. Glass shatters. Even specially designed submarines must be built with extreme care to survive the descent. And yet, life still exists here. Not in large numbers. Not in great variety. But enough to prove that survival is possible even in the most extreme environments. The seafloor in this region looks like a silent desert. Soft sediment stretches across vast distances. Tiny particles drift slowly downward, settling like dust on abandoned ground. No plants grow here. No sunlight has ever reached this place. Only darkness, cold, and pressure. Yet small creatures crawl across the sediment, feeding on whatever nutrients they can find. Among them is a strange predator known as the amphipod. At first glance, it resembles a shrimp. But in the deep trenches, some amphipods grow far larger than their shallow water relatives. Their bodies become thick, strong, and capable of surviving extreme pressure. They move slowly across the ocean floor, searching for anything edible: dead fish, fragments of organic matter, even the remains of larger animals that sink from above. In a world where food is rare, nothing is wasted. Every fragment becomes valuable. Every discovery becomes survival. The softest survivors, one of the most fascinating creatures found in the deepest trenches, is the snailfish. Unlike predators with sharp teeth and glowing lures, the snailfish appears almost harmless, soft-bodied, smooth-skinned, almost delicate. Its body lacks the hard bones seen in most fish. Instead, it relies on flexible cartilage and gelatin-like tissue to survive crushing pressure. This softness is not weakness. It is adaptation. Rigid structures break under pressure. Flexible ones endure. The snailfish glides slowly through the water, feeding on small crustaceans buried in the sediment. Its movements are gentle, unhurried, precise. Despite living in one of the harshest environments on Earth, the snailfish thrives where many other creatures cannot survive. Scientists once believed that vertebrate animals could not exist at such depths. But the discovery of snailfish proved them wrong. Life does not simply stop at extreme boundaries. It adapts. It evolves. It continues. The ocean floor, a world larger than land. One of the most surprising facts about the deep ocean is how vast the seafloor truly is. When people imagine Earth, they often think of continents, mountains, and deserts. But the ocean floor covers more space than all land combined. Mountains taller than Everest exist underwater. Valleys deeper than any canyon stretch across the seabed. Volcanic ridges twist across the ocean floor like scars. Entire ecosystems exist in places humans rarely consider. And in these environments, strange life forms thrive. Some live near hydrothermal vents, openings in the seafloor that release hot, mineral-rich water. These vents create pockets of warmth in otherwise freezing environments. Instead of sunlight, life near these vents depends on chemicals released from deep within the earth. Bacteria feed on minerals. Small animals feed on bacteria. Larger predators feed on smaller ones. A complete ecosystem forms without sunlight, proof that life can exist without the energy source most organisms depend on. This discovery changed how scientists view life on Earth. And it raised a powerful question. If life can survive in such extreme places on our planet, could it also exist on other worlds, deep beneath the ice of distant moons, hidden in underground oceans beyond Earth? The deep sea became more than just an ocean. It became a model for life elsewhere in the universe. The strangest shapes ever discovered. As technology improved, scientists began sending robotic explorers deeper into the trenches. Cameras captured images of creatures unlike anything previously recorded. Some looked like drifting ribbons. Others resembled floating ghosts. And a few appeared almost mechanical in shape, with limbs that extended far beyond their bodies. One of the most unsettling discoveries involved creatures with extremely long appendages, thin, flexible limbs that trailed behind them like threads. These limbs moved slowly through the water, sweeping across the seafloor. Scientists believe they may function like nets, collecting small prey from the sediment. But because sightings are rare, many details remain unknown. And it is this lack of understanding that makes these creatures so mysterious. Not because they are aggressive. Not because they are dangerous. But because they exist beyond our full comprehension. We see them briefly. We record what we can. And then they disappear back into the darkness. A world we barely understand. Despite centuries of exploration, the deep ocean remains one of the least understood environments on Earth. More people have traveled into space than into the deepest parts of the ocean. More images exist of distant planets than of the ocean trenches beneath our own planet. This reality creates a strange paradox. We live on a world covered mostly by water. Yet much of that world remains unknown to us, hidden beneath layers of darkness and pressure. Every new expedition brings discoveries, new species, new behaviors, new ecosystems. Each finding reminds us how little we truly understand about the ocean, and how much remains hidden. The silence of the deep. One of the most unsettling aspects of the deep ocean is not the creatures, not the pressure, not even the darkness, it is the silence. Sound travels differently underwater, but in the deepest regions, movement becomes rare. Few animals swim quickly. Few disturbances occur. The result is an environment that feels frozen in time, still, quiet, unmoving. Imagine floating in darkness where nothing moves, nothing shines, nothing makes a sound, only the slow drifting of particles through endless black water. That silence creates a sense of isolation unlike anything on land, a reminder that humans are not built for such environments, that we are visitors in a world never meant for us. The final descent approaches. We have now reached the deepest known environments on Earth, the trenches, the abyss, the final frontier beneath the waves. But our journey is not yet complete. Because the deeper truth about the ocean is not just about creatures or pressure, it is about mystery. The understanding that no matter how much we discover, more remains hidden. There are trenches yet to be explored, creatures yet to be documented, behaviors yet to be understood, and perhaps even entire ecosystems waiting silently in darkness. The deeper we go, the more questions arise, and those questions lead to one final realization. The ocean is not just deep, it is unknowable. The things we have not found yet, after everything we have explored, every creature, every depth, every mystery, one truth remains impossible to ignore. We have not discovered everything, not even close. Scientists estimate that millions of species may still live in the ocean, completely unknown to science. Entire ecosystems may exist in places humans have never reached. Think about that for a moment. There are creatures alive right now, moving through darkness, feeding, hunting, surviving, that no human has ever seen, not once, not in history. And perhaps the most unsettling part is not the creatures we have discovered, it is the ones we have not. Because every time scientists send machines deeper into the ocean, they return with footage of something new, something strange, something unexpected, creatures that glow in unfamiliar patterns, creatures with shapes that seem impossible, creatures that challenge what we thought we understood about life itself. Each discovery answers one question, but raises 10 more. And sometimes, the camera captures something that scientists struggle to explain, movements that seem unusual, shapes that appear briefly before disappearing into darkness, moments that remind us that even with advanced technology, we are still outsiders in this world, visitors, observers, never fully in control. The ocean is not empty. From the surface, the ocean appears calm, peaceful, predictable. But beneath that surface lies a world far older than humanity, a world that existed long before cities, machines, or technology. Creatures in the deep ocean have survived extinction events, climate changes, and shifts in Earth's history. They adapted, they evolved, they endured. While life on land changed dramatically, life in the deep sea remained hidden and stable. Some species alive today may be descendants of creatures that lived millions of years ago, ancient survivors drifting through darkness, untouched by time. And that realization changes how we see the ocean. It is not just water, it is history, living history, a record of survival written not in books, but in biology. Why the deep ocean feels so terrifying. Fear of the ocean is not just about danger, it is about uncertainty. Humans fear what they cannot see, what they cannot understand, what they cannot control, and the deep ocean represents all three. Darkness without boundaries, depth without limits, life without familiarity. When humans imagine monsters, they often think of creatures with sharp teeth or massive bodies, but true fear does not always come from size, it comes from the unknown, from the possibility that something exists beyond our knowledge, something watching, something moving in silence, something waiting in darkness, not because it wants to harm us, but because it exists in a world completely separate from ours. The limits of human exploration. Despite all our progress, satellites, submarines, robotic explorers, the ocean continues to resist complete discovery. Machines break under pressure. Communication signals weaken. Visibility disappears. Even the strongest equipment struggles to survive the deepest trenches. Exploration takes years, sometimes decades, and every mission carries risk, not because the ocean is hostile, but because it is powerful, unforgiving, unpredictable. Yet humans continue to explore, not out of fear, but out of curiosity, because understanding the unknown has always been part of human nature. We explore mountains, we explore space, and we explore the ocean, because every unanswered question drives us forward, every mystery demands attention, every darkness invites discovery. The possibility of what still waits. Imagine standing on the shore at night, waves move slowly beneath the moonlight, the water looks calm, silent, harmless. But beneath that surface, miles below, creatures move in darkness. Some glow. Some hunt. Some drift silently across the ocean floor. And some may still remain undiscovered, entire species, entire ecosystems, entire worlds hidden beneath layers of water. It is possible that somewhere in the deepest trench, something exists that humans have never imagined, something completely unfamiliar, not monstrous, not mythical, but simply unknown, and that unknown is what makes the ocean so fascinating, and so terrifying. The final realization, after descending through every layer of the ocean, from the bright surface waters to the deepest trenches, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. The ocean is not just deep, it is mysterious, endlessly mysterious. No matter how far technology advances, no matter how many expeditions are completed, there will always be regions left unexplored, always shadows left unseen, always questions left unanswered. And perhaps that is what makes the ocean so powerful, not its size, not its pressure, not even its creatures, but its mystery, because mystery creates wonder, and wonder creates fear. Final closing. The next time you stand near the ocean, watching waves roll toward the shore, listening to the sound of water moving across sand, remember this. Beneath that calm surface lies the largest unexplored world on Earth, a world filled with creatures that glow in darkness, predators that hunt in silence, and environments so extreme that survival seems impossible. Yet life continues, hidden, patient, unseen. And somewhere, far below the surface, in darkness deeper than imagination, something is still moving, still surviving, still waiting, in a world we barely understand, and perhaps never fully will. Unseen, perfectly adapted to a world where survival depends on resilience. And yet, scientists believe we have barely scratched the surface of what lives in these trenches. Each expedition reveals new species, creatures never before recorded, never before imagined, proof that the ocean still holds secrets, and that we are only beginning to understand them.